This week's practice has been good. We've got to continue to improve over the next 5 weeks, and we've talked about how tough that challenge is going to be. But we got to get better. We just got to get better in a lot of different phases. We're doing some great things, and when we've put it all together, we've been a really good football team. We've just been inconsistent, and then you start looking at your team in the spring. We'll have 9 early enrollees as it stands right now. You start looking at the guys that you feel like will either go to the NFL or graduate. Some can't come back. So with the transfer portal, you're constantly looking at your roster management. That changes where you look at it every day. And I think what we're going to see is if a young guy's not getting enough touches, or if he's not getting enough plays, if he doesn't see hope for the future, even the guys watch recruiting and see who you're bringing in that may get more playing time than they are because of all the hype. You're going to have more guys transfer than ever. And the coaches that handle the transfer portal are going to be the ones that do the best job in coaching. And we've got to look at the possibility of some transfers coming in as more guys leave. I've told the coaches, it's not like somebody quitting. It's the NCAA is giving guys opportunities to go get something in their mind that's better without having a lot of patience. They don't wait anymore. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys transferring every year that aren't playing as much, and they're going to transfer for playing time, and that's fair. And that's what we've asked our guys to do, is just let us know as soon as you can if you're not going to be here. Because number one, you don't want a guy on the plane going to Notre Dame that's not committed to your team. And number two, you don't want a guy to stay and get hurt. If that could hurt his possibility of transferring somewhere else. And number four, it lets us start looking at how many spots do we have and who can fill that position moving forward. So I've always felt like it would be better to stay till the end of the year with your team, but I can see now why guys, if they want to move, they're definitely leaving, why they would go ahead and leave early. And the new rule has made it where you don't have to have any patience anymore. If you get up one day and you don't feel like you're getting a good opportunity, you just leave. And that's, I'd rather that not happen. I think it's a bad learning message for young people about patience and fighting through things. But at the same time, I totally understand. So we all have to do a great job with name, image, and likeness, which that seems to be handled well, especially with our team. All of them have gotten a piece of it with group licensing. And the guys like Sam that have gotten more have really handled it well with the other kids and included them as much as they can. And then the transfer portal's new, and we're all learning, but we're in a sport where you've got over 100 players and 11 play at a time. So the transfer portal is an opportunity for a lot of guys to leave. And then you see coaches on the hot seat, and already one coach has been fired at midseason of his third season. When coaches get fired, more kids are going to leave those programs, most likely, because when their assistants leave, a lot of them will leave with those assistants. So it's just a different time in college football more than anything else. And some of our coaches were griping about they don't think it's best. They don't think it's best for kids. And I told them it doesn't matter. It's here. It's a decision that the NCAA made. So manage it and be positive about it and handle it with your program. So anybody that leaves, could he have been a good player? Who knows? I mean, he didn't stay. So you can't worry about the ones that are leaving. You got to worry about the ones that are staying. Start looking at Notre Dame. I mentioned on Monday, they're 27-1 at home. Out of the last 28 games, they've won 37 straight against unranked teams. So this is a good football team. It's a good program. They continue to be experienced. A lot of their guys are graduates or seniors. I think there's 13 that are starting that are older, and they lost a lot of guys last year. So credit Brian Kelly, because they are keeping players, and they've got a lot of really good football players that are smart and confident and know what they're doing. And they just they're so well coached, they're hard to beat because they don't make many mistakes. And you start looking at their offense, they lose one of the better quarterbacks in their school's history, And then they bring in Jack Cohn from Wisconsin, and they fit the system to him. They're even going more tempo. And he's an excellent passer. So they've helped with that. Then they'll bring in Buckner, who's the young guy who can really run, but he's throwing more now. And he's getting more involved with the offense. Kyron Williams is a tremendous running back. He's powerful. He makes so many yards after contact. And Michael Mayer may be the best tight end in the country. If not, he's in that group. And the offensive line, they lose 4 of their 5 guys. And then you look up and they've improved so much that it looks like a seasoned offensive line and 2 or 3 older guys in there. On defense, they lost Kyle Hamilton, who was a great player for our game, but they've got a senior that came in the other day against USC, DJ Brown, and played really, really well. So they've got experience, and that helps them. They've got Foskey's one of the best pass rushers in the country, and we haven't protected the passer very well. And they've done a tremendous job of getting after the quarterback. I think they sacked SC's quarterback on the first play. And they've done a good job of forcing turnovers. And Bertrand also is an outstanding junior will linebacker. He's all over the place, and they're very physical, and they'll knock you out. They're 23rd nationally in third down defense, holding people to 34%. We were very, very poor on third downs against them last year. I don't think we had we didn't make a third down in the second half. So we've got our hands full, and kids are excited about going up there like people would be. It's a tremendous place to play. And I've never coached a game there. I've been there. I've seen the stadium, but a lot of these kids haven't. So it'll be a fun trip for them, an exciting trip for them, and a hard task to make sure you do everything possible to win a game. Questions?
All right, thanks, Coach. First in the queue this morning is Dina King. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned your first trip to Notre Dame Stadium. Just expand on what is the thoughts of going and playing in one of the most historical places in college football?
Dana, I love the experience for the kids. You know, that's the thing that they look at all these national programs and they grew up seeing games in these stadiums, and it's fun for them to play in them. And it'll be a packed house. It'll be loud. It'll be fun. And this is an experience that they'll remember for a long time. And we're fortunate that we have Notre Dame on the schedule again next year at home. And we didn't have a full house last year because we had our 3,600 or whatever it was with COVID. So next year's game here will be a special trip for Notre Dame, I'm sure, but it'll be a packed house and an exciting crowd early next year. It looks like we've got 3 games scheduled and then a week before the Notre Dame game for next year. So I would think it's either an open date, but probably not that early in the season. I would think that the ACC would put an ACC game in there. We're not playing the traditional Wofford or Western Carolina late in the year next year. We've moved that up earlier in the season. So we will play a conference game the week before we play NC State next year. So, but Notre Dame will be the 5th week, and I would think the 5th game, because I would think the ACC would put something in there before that game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, CL Brown, go ahead.
Matt, kind of piggybacking off of that, does Notre Dame still hold the same mystique for this generation of players? Like, are you having to combat the history of Notre Dame football with these players, or is all of that lost on them because of how young they are and Notre Dame hadn't won a national title, while they've really been involved with football?
I don't think, CL, Notre Dame's a program that graduates players and they recruit really well. And at the same time, they've been a perennial top 10 program. And they haven't done as well in the playoff, but they've gotten there. And that's the top 4 teams. So you got to give them a lot of credit. Brian, I stayed here 10 years and I stayed at Texas 16. It's hard to stay at these places a long time. And Brian's been able to do that. And to do that, you got to win and you got to be able to handle the stuff. you all get tired of hearing me and I get tired of hearing you. And that's what happens with these people. The fans get tired of your same stuff. And Sally always said they want a new wife after a certain point. They're tired of the old wife. So you're the old wife, and Brian's been able to handle it. He's handled a great program that is a very difficult place to coach, but a fun place to coach. And that's what happens in these historic programs. But our kids played them last year hard. They know what we're up against on Saturday, and I think they're really looking forward to that. In fact, if you just think we've got 5 great weeks here, and we mentioned this, but you got a great challenge at Notre Dame and a fun trip. You come back here and play a 7-0 right now Wake Forest team. Who knows what they'll come in, but if they come in 8-0, an undefeated Wake Forest team before a great crowd next week. They've even waited. They haven't set that TV time yet. And then you go to Pittsburgh, who's lost 1 game, one of the top teams in the Coastal, and just beat Clemson. And then you come home and play Senior Day, which is really important for these kids because that's something they'll remember the rest of their life. Then you go to NC State, who's only got 2 losses, and all of them are ranked. So I think CL, our guys are excited about the challenge of the next 5 weeks, getting better and seeing if we're in a better place at the end of this 5 weeks than we are now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Michael Coe, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, sort of building off that last question, going into this game, 80,000 seat stadium, primetime national television against a nationally ranked Notre Dame team. Is there almost a way for the kids to get too pumped up, too fired up before the game actually starts?
Michael, I don't think so, but we've got a combination of old and young, and the young ones probably will, and the older ones will probably handle it. That's what we do. So to get where we want to go, we've got to be able to play well and win these games. And that's what we said last year. We had Clemson as number 1 in the country the first year, and we had our chance and couldn't finish it. And then last year we had Notre Dame and Texas A&M number 2 and number 5 in the fourth quarter with a chance to win, and we didn't finish it. So these are the games that kind of the standard of where you want to be. Notre Dame's program has been really good over a number of years, and that's what we want to be. And we're not there yet, obviously. We've got a lot of work to do, but you've got to play well in these games to have a chance. I also told the guys, everybody wants to be an NFL player now. And scouts come out every Tuesday and watch our practices. And I told the guys, play good against Notre Dame. That'll help your stock. Because if you don't play good against Notre Dame, all the pro scouts are there watching you play really good players. They're not going to draft you. So let's quit talking about NFL and let's play and let's prove it. Because those guys last year proved it. And the 5 that we've got in the NFL all played at a very high level, and we've obviously really missed them. So you guys want to be NFL players? I'll see you Saturday night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, a couple of questions about the portal, back to what you opened up with. When you had the meetings last week and a kid comes in and they're expressing some concerns about their situation, do you feel like maybe you need to re-recruit them a little bit? Or if they are concerned and you sense maybe they're heading out the door, you let them go because keeping them might be more of a challenge than you need to have in the program and have with the staff, worrying about a kid who has already expressed possible interest in leaving?
Yeah, Andrew, it's a great question. Unless he's a freshman, freshmen haven't been here long enough to figure out where their place is going to be. They need to stay at least a couple of years and figure out where it fits, because guys love this school. They love our program. They're not going to just leave. They're going to leave because they want more playing time. But it's really important for us to be honest with them and tell them the truth, because if you do re-recruit them and it's not factual, they're going to see that and quit later. And if they're going to leave, we're better off and they're better off if they leave now. So, and I've got 6 grandkids, and I want my grandkids to all be happy. And I think my 6 grandkids are really special. So every parent loves their child. And every parent thinks their player's going to be in the NFL, their son or their grandson. And I got that. And then when they don't get to play, and when we recruit them, they think they're going to play. If we recruited them, then they're disappointed. And I think it's our responsibility, Andrew. I know it's our responsibility when we sit and talk to them one-on-one. And you ask me specifically, am I going to be the featured player at this position? If he is not and has no chance to be, it's really important for us to say, no, you're not. If you stay here, you're going to be special teams and you're going to back up. That's what we see. Now, you may not agree, and I understand that. Your parents don't agree. I understand that, but that's where we see you right now. Could you possibly change that role? Yes, but we don't see it happening. And I think that's much better than telling somebody, hang in there, it may work for you, if we as a staff know it's not. And that's going to be the hard thing moving forward. Coaches are in a different position than we've ever been. And when if a guy comes in this afternoon, I told you the other day, I thought Clyde might be the last one, then Josh comes in. If somebody comes in this afternoon and goes into the portal, I've told our coaches, let's wish him luck, let's try to help him. But we got to have somebody to take his place by Saturday. And that's just the new way that this thing's going to work. It's just that way. It used to be when somebody would transfer, everybody'd say, oh my gosh, what's happening? The program's coming to an end. Now you're going to have a lot of guys in programs across the country that are going in the portal. It happens every day. I got an alert last night. I'm at home and here's an alert. This guy just went in the portal. I mean, it's amazing how it happens across the country. And then usually guys are in the portal because they're not getting enough playing time where they are, and they're just wanting to help their situation. And again, I think I was probably wrong, because in my era and 10 years ago, guys would stay till the end. And you stayed with your team and you did everything you could do. You waited till after the bowl game. And now guys are saying, well, I'm not getting to play enough. I may get hurt because I'm on special teams. And then I don't have an opportunity to go anywhere else. And the other thing is, I saw yesterday a guy in the transfer portal has already committed to somebody else. So the moment they go in that portal, and it takes about 5 minutes, it is really fast. It's amazing that you can be here 2 years and walk in and say, Coach, I'd like to be in the portal. All right, compliance here. Sign this paper. You're in. Good luck. That's how fast it is. And then I saw yesterday somebody had already committed to another team after they got into the portal this year, 2 weeks ago. So, and what they're doing, they'll get their academics in order and they'll be in school at that other school in January. So Andrew, it's just a really new process. And I think it's going to have a bigger impact on college football than name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness is what it is. And it'll all settle somewhere and we'll figure out what that means. But the transfer portal is an absolute nightmare for roster management. And where I thought it was better to wait, I think now it's better to go. If you're not going to stay and you know you're not going to stay and you're afraid you're going to get hurt, there's no way that you can compete for your team. So I'm all for, if a guy's ready to go, come in, let's get settled and then go. And most people have an idea where they're going anyway. They've talked to somebody. So they've got some pretty good ideas.
When you have 3 that go in a week, do you address the team about it? And is there a concern that the outside world, as you said a couple of minutes ago, people wonder what the heck's going on here? 3 guys are leaving. Is there a concern that some doubt may seep into the minds of players that are still there and not thinking about leaving just yet? So how do you address that with them collectively or through their position groups from the guys that left? Or how do you go about handling that? And how did you handle that? If you could share that with us.
Yeah, it's another great question. You've got open date. You had the bye week. So we told every player, we're going to sit down and your assistant coach is going to be very direct and honest with you. And what happens after that is then some guys don't like exactly what they hear. We could wait and do what you said and try to recruit them till the end of the year and then tell them. I think that's what open date was for. And we tell the team every time someone goes in the portal, we announce it to them on Teamworks before it's announced publicly. And then we address the team with every player that is deciding to leave. So it is what it is. There is no concern on my part, because the 3 that left are all good kids that are in good academic standing, that wanted something more than we could give them. And that's fair. There weren't bad meetings. They weren't angry. We weren't mad at them. They weren't mad at us. It's just, Coach, I'd like to have more playing time. I totally understand. I meet with at least their position coach in them when they come in. I'm going to meet with everyone before he goes into the portal, if possible. But I think it's a trend for the future. That's why I addressed it today. I don't think it's a concern. I think it's going to happen. And what we've got to do is as head coaches, we've got to do a great job of addressing it by getting someone to take their place. And I think that's the key.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, Coach, that was our last question this morning. We appreciate a few minutes.
Great. I will see some of you up there, and I guess I'll see all of you after the game on Saturday night. I think we get back at 3:45. So if you don't get on our plane, spend the night up there and come back Sunday, or stay here and Zoom. Either way. All right, guys, have a great week. I'll see you up there. Travel safe if you're going.